Guerrilla warriors use surprise and ingenuity to overcome larger forces, but you can use guerrilla marketing to make a massive impact without a massive budget. Today, I'm joined by Richard Weiler, CEO and founder of Market Leap and a true innovator in guerrilla marketing strategies. In this episode, Richard reveals how mastering the art of follow-up, building authentic relationships, and thinking outside of the box can propel your business to new heights. If you're ready to outsmart the competition with unconventional tactics, then this is an episode you won't want to miss. Hello, and welcome to Hero Up, the podcast that inspires and challenges you to step up and become heroic in all areas of your life. I'm your host, Tony Stark Polici, and it's my goal to give you practical, actionable advice and insights into copywriting, mindset, lifestyle, and impact. On this show, we'll explore how to create compelling and persuasive marketing messages, and I'll give you clever tips to make you stand out as a hero. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a freelancer, a coach, or a creative, this podcast is for you. So, let's dive in. You've just heard the intro to my guest today, Richard Weiler. Richard, thank you so much for being here with me today, and I'm looking forward to having this interview with you. The first question that I want to start with is just tell us who you are and what do you do?
All right. No, that's great. That's great. Like you said, I'm Richard Weiler. I'm the CEO and founder of Market Leap. And what we do is we help companies actually become the type of company that investors want to invest in. And then once the companies have reached that pinnacle and they're ready for investment, we help pair them with those investors.
Oh, that's exciting. So now what I know about you is you've been in the marketing industry for quite a few years, right?
Yeah, and most of my life.
Most of your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, how did you get started? What was take me back. What was the intro into this crazy world of marketing?
Absolutely. Rewind to a 19-year-old kid that was out knocking doors on doing missionary service for his church and trying to bring people to Christ. And fast forward home and engaged in no job. I'm engaged with no job. Mom is not happy. All of that was not very good. But a friend of mine reached out to me and he said, man, I'm knocking doors for ADT and I'm making really good money. So that was my beginning. It was door-to-door sales, selling security systems for ADT and other companies. And I graduated from that into owning my own authorized dealership for a couple different companies like ADT and Monotronics, which is now Brinks. That was the inroad, was the door-to-door salesman.
That is absolutely the best inroad, I think. My one of my sons, he started doing that a few years ago it was actually political organization, door knocking. Back during the Trump and Hillary era, right?
Okay.
And man, he had a tough gig, but I told him, I said, if you get good at knocking on doors, talking to people who don't want to talk to you about things they don't want to talk about, that is going to set you up for, and now he's like doing sales, he's phone sales and he's killing it. So I think that probably one of the best educations a person can get in marketing is door knocking, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend it. If you can door knock and be successful at door knocking, you can almost do anything.
It sounds like if you were doing missionary work, you were probably doing some door knocking there too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of it.
and I'm not sure what is like people are more resistant to, having you knock on the door and talk to them about a security system or having you talk to them about, coming to know the Lord.
I'm not sure either.
They're both tough gigs, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay, so from door knocking into like where you're at today, huge transition. I'm sure that you've seen an awful lot. So let me just ask you kind of a really crazy question. Like, what is the most radical shift that you've witnessed in your journey as a marketer?
Oof, most radical shift. I've had a lot of them. I've had some roller coaster rides. I think most entrepreneurs, if they've been around the block and they've, taken the risks necessarily to be successful. They're going to have some of that roller coaster ride going on. I would say a pretty drastic shift for me was when the Yellow Pages decided it was, well, two things happened that were crucial. One, the housing market bottomed out. That was not good for my smart home security company that I had when I was in my 20s. I'm 45 now. I say that because I look like I'm still in my 20s. I don't want people to get confused. So that market hit bottom. And then at the same time, the Yellow Pages expired. And most people didn't know that the Yellow Pages expired. And a lot of business owners were, you know, reliant on the Yellow Pages and had no way of growing their business or even staying in business without the Yellow Pages. So what happened is my company that was doing quite well is number 20 out of over 550 dealerships nationwide, is number 20 in the nation. We got really on the one bad side of a one-sided contract, and all the money that we'd worked so hard for is now being clawed back from us for chargebacks for systems we had sold in the past, and the new systems, all that money was going. And so I folded. I closed that company and I moved into the digital marketing space. That was a huge transition, and helping business owners understand that the new place that people were searching and were going to actually find them was on Google. And a lot of these business owners, they didn't want to hear that. They were resistant to it, and they folded before that they would make a transition into the digital world. Now it's pretty well common knowledge that, hey, if you're not found in Google, you're missing out on a very, very big percentage of the market. And a lot of the clients that we help with our business accelerator, we're still helping them with their Google rankings and things like that.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Yellow Pages, because I would say that's one of the most radical shifts that I saw happen in my career too. I don't know if you know this, but my brother Joe and I came up with a strategy using this recorded message concept that we got from, I think it was Gary Halbert. And we used that because our initial niche was the cleaning industry. We were marketing to carpet cleaners. Then we branched that out to a number of different industries. But like the US, I think it was US West Yellow Pages out here for a while. Like we were killing companies that had like double truck ads, 2-page ads with this little eighth of a page. And they actually like outlawed our ads here in Arizona. Like people could not use it because they were, they're guys that are paying $10,000-$12,000 a month for their ads, getting beat by somebody that's paying $150. But you're absolutely right when it comes to people. When the Yellow Pages started to become passé, business owners didn't know what to do. And that was a huge shift that I witnessed as well. So it sounds like when you moved into digital, how did you adapt your strategies from print and Yellow Pages to Google and digital marketing?
Well, I didn't just go out there and try to wing it. I partnered with the most competent experts in the industry, and I learned from them directly. Basically, is kind of a paid internship kind of situation. And we quickly got results. And being in the trenches, I went from somebody who was, being tutored to somebody who was getting really incredible results and discovering some loopholes and little secrets here and there that I then went around and shared on stage publicly on the national speaking circuit. And for many years, I spoke on search engine optimization and how to grow your business using that strategy.
So can you share an example of like a particular, maybe unconventional or, unique marketing tactic that you used that delivered really amazing results?
Okay. Yeah. I will say, just in general, being out of the box and doing digital marketing, I think hybrid marketing, he's actually my creative director now, but he was my mentor at the time. Lee Collins was the CEO of StomperNet and was running that organization, or not necessarily the CEO, but he was running the organization. And hybrid marketing, I think, is very out of the box, and it works quite well for a lot of people. And that's where you blend offline and online marketing strategies together. And that's a hole in the marketplace still today. People don't use it. They have their digital marketing in a silo, they have their radio ads in a silo, their direct mail in a silo, but they don't complement each other. The digital ads, or I'm sorry, the radio and television and direct mail aren't driving traffic to their website. And if you're not driving traffic to your website with your marketing, you're missing out on a massive opportunity. And one of the reasons is retargeting. Once somebody visits your website, you can then bid on banner ads from all the sites they visit on. And anyone that has available banner space, you can visit that space. And everybody has clicked on an ad and then been stalked, and where
Yeah.
somebody bids on every single banner ad that's available. And then you just see that person around for the next 3 to 6 months. And you're like, man, they're everywhere. Well, there's still a lot of people today that don't realize when they click on that ad that that banner space is available. And instead of having that reaction of, oh my gosh, they're stalking me, they have that reaction of, wow, they're affiliated with the New York Times. I didn't know they were that big. Oh my gosh, I'm going on Dave Ramsey's website and they're affiliated with Dave Ramsey. They're right there on his website. Wherever it is that that banner space is available and biddable, you get that, and you get that space essentially for free. That's a pretty radical form of marketing where you can buy time, space, and energy for free in people's brain. And then the only time you have to pay is when they click. So imagine you have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people over the years. Well, I won't even say over the years. It would have to be hundreds of thousands over about 6 months, but hundreds of thousands of people that have visited your website, and then now that banner is just showing up everywhere on those people, and you only pay when they click. And why would they click? They click to come back to your website. And why are they coming back to your website? They're coming back to buy. So without remarketing or retargeting and a good strategy to pair offline and online marketing strategies, hybrid marketing strategies, you're not going to be as successful as you could be without it.
That's brilliant. So, is this something that you do for clients? Like if a client came to you and maybe they have a great online presence, but they're not utilizing any of this, retargeting or banner advertising, can you set that up for them? Do you know? I mean, there's plenty of places, I guess, that sell space, native ads, and things like that. But is this something that your company handles?
We do for our members of our business accelerator. It's rare that we will do anything for a company that's not in our business accelerator. And the reason is we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. If we were offering, really unique out of the box strategies to everyone, we wouldn't really have time to deliver for our members of our accelerator the way that we want to be able to do that.
So tell me a little bit about who's the ideal client for you?
So we have a couple client avatars. It could be somebody that simply has an idea, or they're an early stage startup pre-revenue and they want to raise capital, or they just want to get their business out there to the world. And there's dual path that we can put those people on. We can use guerrilla marketing strategies and say, hey, we're going to utilize low cost, no cost marketing strategies to bootstrap your business, right? That's one of those clients. Or we can do both, put them on that path as well as a path to saying, hey, we're going to prep your business to be the type of company that magnetically attracts capital. And you're going to attract capital that way because you are the type of company that investors are dying to invest in. And right now it's a hot market. You'll see that less investors are investing. Well, why are less investors investing? Well, the stock market's scary. Bitcoin's scary. Everything's a little bit unstable and unsure right now. So if you can position yourself as that safe bet, you'll have investors lined around the block. Versus if you seem like a risky bet, you're just in the same category as everything else right now, right? And investors, they don't want money sitting in the bank. They would just as soon burn the money in the backyard for warmth as have money sitting in the bank, because they know how they make money, and they make money by investing. So it's a good situation when you can become the type of person that investors want to invest in. And your business is the type of business, because they invest in both. They don't just invest in your business or you. They invest in both. They want to see that you're the person to lead the business and you have the right business. And there's a lot going on that I've been part of different organizations. Tony Hsieh's Downtown Project, when he dropped 800 million into Las Vegas, plug and play with the client, hung out at Silicon Slopes and Salt Lake, and just had a lot of opportunities to be involved. I'm a faculty member at CEO Space, and there's definitely some capital that's raised there. But overall, what I've found is very few organizations ever teach business owners how to talk to investors. And I would say this: most business owners, in the first 5 minutes of meeting an investor, do something or say something that lets that investor know that they would never want to invest in their company. And that's a big problem if somebody doesn't
That
teach
is.
you what to say.
Yeah. That sounds like a
Right.
tremendous problem. So
Yeah.
this is fascinating as I listen to you talk about this, because you're coming in to help these business owners and these startups actually position themselves to succeed, right? How to present themselves and position themselves to succeed in attracting the right investors. You mentioned the like guerrilla marketing techniques. Now you've got a book that you've authored called The Guerrilla Connector,
That's
which
correct.
I have not read, so I can't talk about it. Shame on me for not like getting up to speed on that before we talked. But from the reviews and stuff that I've read about it, it talks about focusing on building deep interpersonal business relationships, right?
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about that. And especially, I just did a summit a few weeks ago on leveraging AI for business growth while maintaining the authentic human touch, because I feel like that's really important, right? I feel like connection is currency nowadays.
Absolutely.
And so tell me about how, your philosophy, your approach to building these deep relationships, especially in the increasingly the digital world that just keeps getting more and more, technologically saturated.
Well, first, I'm going to let you off the hook for not reading it, because technically the site is up and everything's there, but you still can't buy it yet.
Oh, well, thank
Yeah,
goodness.
so it would have been really difficult for you to read it. The only people that have read it are the Guerrilla Marketing Master Trainers. And when I was the CEO of Guerrilla Marketing, the master trainers that trained to become Guerrilla Marketing Master Trainers, that book, early stage of that book, was part of the curriculum that they read. And we saw some incredible results from our Guerrilla Marketing Master Trainers. We had some really cool success stories from the book from that. I won't go too deep into those because I know we don't have a ton of time. But as far as your question about connection capital, it's never been more true. It's always been true, but it's never been more true now. And there's never been a time in greater need where business owners need to connect with a person, not that 5-foot persona that you're holding them to. Oh, don't somebody asked you to connect on Facebook. I can't tell you. There were several times when I was at Secret Knock recently, another great place to, if you've never been, definitely check out Secret Knock. But that's a whole nother story. But several people, I was like, hey, why don't we connect on Facebook? Like, oh no, I have a private Facebook, or my Facebook is personal. Why don't we connect on LinkedIn? And I'll connect with them on LinkedIn. But I don't have time for LinkedIn because Facebook has brought me more money, not from running ads, but from the connections and relationships that I've made than any other thing that I've done, including public speaking, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Facebook is what has really developed the brand. And there is a chapter dedicated to talking about using digital marketing strategies and groups like Facebook to build your presence and your network. But I think I'm going to release a second edition of the book that's just about utilizing social media platforms to build your influence.
So this a lot of this interpersonal connection that you're doing is based in connecting over Facebook.
Absolutely. Facebook, and then just being that for a long time ago, it was really passe to connect on Facebook. Like you would go to it like 10 years ago, if you went to a network event and you said, hey, let's connect on Facebook, you might be the only person that they connected with on Facebook. And then they're seeing you over and over again. Like, wow, and I had literally an investor that I spoke with years ago. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey, do you remember me? I'm Richard Weiler. And he's like, yeah, you just had a kid, and starts rambling off all this stuff that I posted on Facebook. And I was like, I didn't even know this guy knew I existed, but because I connected with him years ago when it was not PC or normal to connect on Facebook, he knew exactly who I was. He knew all about my family and my relationship, and he was excited to talk to me. And I'm like, wow. That's when it really dawned on me. I was like, wow, that's really powerful. That was before I even wrote the book, The Gorilla Connector. And it's like, man, just making that digital connection and being real, and sometimes even a little bit polarizing, because if you are politically correct with everything you say because you have business friends on Facebook that might be offended, you polarize no one. And when you polarize no one, that also means you don't draw anyone in.
I agree with that 100%. One of the adages that I've stood on for decades in this industry is when you market to everyone, you market to no one.
Absolutely.
You really have to. And there's people that I follow and people that I'm friends with who have inspired me to be more outgoing, because like in my personal life, I'm very outspoken with people about what I believe and what I stand for, but I haven't been so bold to go out and throw all that stuff out on social media. Right now, I think part of that was because I spent a large portion of my career raising kids, and I was like, I just didn't want any blowback, something that might come to impact my kids. But nowadays, I'm talking about my faith, I'm talking about my political stances, I'm talking about my, beliefs in the Second Amendment and different things that do create that polarization. And I think if we're really going to attract our tribe,
Right.
we have to talk about what matters, right?
Yeah. And that's where I would say so many people are afraid of being themselves and letting people see their authentic self. And that's something the book talks about. Be who you are. It even goes as far, I think it might be watered down a little bit more in this version after the publisher got a hold of it. But if it literally said, if you are an angry, unhappy person, be the angry, unhappy person and attract those that are okay being around an angry, unhappy person.
That's great. I love that. Yeah.
I've known some people that are really just angry, unhappy people, and amazingly, they're wildly successful because they're authentic, and the people that are around them are okay with them having fatal flaws and being a human being, and they love them, like them, follow them anyway. Dan Kennedy can be very polarizing, for example. And think of some of the things Dan Kennedy writes, some of the things that Dan Kennedy says. He says in his book Speak to Sell, which I listened to on Audible recently, he said he will polarize as much as 90 to 95% of the room to get to the 5% that he wants to speak to. And that just blows my mind because everybody else is doing the opposite. Everybody else wants to be perfect. They don't want to talk about politics. They don't share their religion. Who might be offended by who I am? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a rude awakening. If people are offended by who you are, that might not be your ideal client.
Yeah.
I'm going to save you some time. Polarize them up front and let the list of people that want to work with you line down the street, because they want to work with you. They don't want to work with this persona that you've put on. They want to work with the authentic you because of who you are, what you've done, and what they feel like you can do for them. And Most people just fade into the background on Facebook. I had somebody say to me the other day, and I took it as a compliment. He's like, "You certainly are very visible on Facebook. You're hard to miss." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true, and that's intentional." I think about every single post before I put it on there, about what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm trying to accomplish, and what response that I want back from that post. And because of it, I do quite well. You won't see thousands of comments on my posts, but some of the people that are extremely influential, outside of Facebook, even have lists of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. You won't see more than 30, 40 comments on most of their posts. But those same posts with those 30, 40 comments, they might have made six figures on.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. I love that. The thing that I wanted to ask you was, like, how do you see this engagement how do you see it evolving, right? So, because now we have AI, we've got all these incredible apps that, will go on and start conversations for you on the different social media channels. There's a lot of different things that can automate and help the process, but at some point, we still need to get back to that authentic connection with others. Do you see anything like in the role of personal connection that's evolving, and you have like predictions about what you think is going to happen?
Old school and new school have a way of coming back. For a long time, I did not carry a card. And some of the most influential people I knew did not carry cards. And so it was a little bit of a badge of honor to not carry a card and then listen to all the people that wanted to lecture us about not carrying business cards. And now, for the first time, I've kind of swung the other direction. All these people are carrying digital business cards and they're connecting with people digitally. And there's a fatal flaw in a digital business card, quote unquote, thing, especially when they just share and save your contact. If you don't know that person's name, how do you find them again? You went networking, you met 40 people. Do you know every single person's name and memorize it? That works great if you have a really brilliant memory. I don't. I don't.
Right.
So a little trick that I use, if somebody shares their digital business card, one, I give them that hard copy business card with the QR code to scan, because there's just something fun about QR codes. I
Sure.
don't know why, but they're coming back again. And I give them that card, physical card with the thing to stand. And then I'm the weird one that actually has a physical card. That's how I'm standing out now. But when somebody scans their digital card or bumps me on, you can do that with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. You can just bump the two things together and it shares your V cards automatically. It's pretty cool. I learned that recently.
Okay.
New feature. And I screenshot it. I save it, and then I send it to my administrative assistant, my executive assistant, and then she saves it in HubSpot for me. And then we follow up on every single one, because I've learned very quickly follow up is not a strength for me. The connection's a great strength, but follow up is not. You can ask my close friends. They might not hear from me for 3 months or even a year. But my closest friends, we hear from each other and we get together and we laugh and we play and we have fun just like we always did. And it doesn't matter how long it's been since we've contacted each other, but real to build meaningful connections with new people popping up a year later, they're going to be like, what's going on? Why are you talking to me?
Right. Yeah, that is so true. And as a marketer, marketing consultant, copywriter, one of the things that I'm always, really insisting with my clients is the gold, the treasure, the profit is in the follow-up, right?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I learned this from Dan Kennedy years ago with the 3-letter sequence stuff. And, we've heard how many different touches it takes for somebody, blah, blah, blah. But man, I'm moving so fast a lot of the time, and there's so many new things flying at me that I can let that follow up fall through the cracks. And then suddenly maybe a year passes, like you just said, and I think about somebody that I met at a network meeting. I think, oh, they're perfect for, maybe I've got a referral for them, or I've got a project for them, or I just thought about them and like, oh, this reminds me of so-and-so. And you reach out to them and it's like, sometimes they're receptive and sometimes they're not. But, when I think about, like if I didn't talk to my wife for 6 months,
Mhm.
like how strong is that relationship going to be? You
Yeah.
know, we're still married, but like how connected are we? You talked about your friends, and I have a small group of people that I connect with on a regular basis. But that follow up and building new relationships with people, it takes time. It takes energy. It takes intention in order to build those relationships. So,
Mhm.
is it your administrative assistant that those processes that you developed that have like kind of filled that gap for you, where it's not a strength for you?
Now it's a bigger strength because I have accountability with her and I have weekly meetings with her and we talk about all of these people. And, if for me personally, and this isn't everybody, but for me personally, if I don't have that third party accountability, I'm going to forget. I'm just going to get busy. I'm a CEO of two different companies and I'm going to get pulled in a lot of different directions. And important people are just going to fall by the wayside, even though they're great connections, great contacts, and we would do business. They're going to fall by the wayside. That's my personality. Other people may not need that. Other people might be able to manage one of those little business card apps really well and do incredibly well with it. It's just not how my mind works. I'm on the autism spectrum. Me and Elon, Zuckerberg, we're on that spectrum. And my mind works a little bit differently than most people. And I'm aware of that. So I know what my paradigm is may not be for everybody else. But I do think that regardless of how your mind works, you need to have some kind of follow up system, whether it's autoresponders, whether it's an administrative assistant that helps you, whether it's just simply putting something on your calendar that reminds you twice or even three times a week to go through all of your new contacts and reach out to them and make sure they feel heard, they feel seen, and they know that they're important. And if you do those things, that's going to create connection in a very meaningful way.
Oh, that's gold right there. That's just a great tip. That's super. I mean, just putting something on your calendar reminding you to go back and connect with these people and make
Yeah.
it something that's just part of your process, which your normal life. Do you find that there's a particular way of connecting with people that's more efficient and more effective for you than others?
Lunch. Never eat
Lunch.
alone. There is a reason behind that. You go to your local and the book talks about this. Imagine walking into the room in your local chamber of commerce and looking around and you can't find a person you haven't had lunch with and bought their lunch.
Hmm.
Imagine you're
That's great.
walking around a room full of 50, 100 people and you've bought every single person lunch. What's going to happen when you walk in the room? Naturally, a little bit of a line is going to form, don't you think?
Sure.
Because of the
Hey,
impact
Richard, how are
and
you? Yeah.
an investment you made. And then imagine those people, you've also made meaningful introductions to the vast majority of them because you put the time in, you put the deposit in, and you're not the one sitting there complaining about the good old boys network and the national companies that charge too much money. You are the good old boys network and you're charging more than the national companies. And you still have a line down the road to do business with you. That's being a guerrilla connector. That's what it's about.
That's brilliant.
Being valued for who you are and charging what you're worth is directly related to the connections that you make and the relationships you build.
That's gold.
Your
Directly
worth
connected to the connections that you make.
is directly connected to the connections and the relationships that you make, keep, and build. All of those things are vastly important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So earlier you talked about speaking on, doing a lot of speaking in national stages and things. I found it really interesting that because there's a lot of speakers out there that I know who really press the value of speaking for bringing in business, right, and generating money.
Right.
Now, there's lots of ways to speak. What we're doing right now is speaking. People can consume this content, videos that you're posting on your social media, that's speaking. But when people talk about being on the stage, everyone thinks that's like the pinnacle. If I can just go on more stages, then people will know me. And sometimes that's true. But on the stages that you were on, you said that you made more money with the connections that you made on Facebook than you ever did on
Right.
speaking. But on the stages, was there a time when you presented an idea that was really controversial or like kind of rocked the audience or wasn't received well, anything like that that just
Sure.
stands out for
So
you?
I'll address both of those things really quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
So first, making more money on stages versus Facebook. One of the reasons why Facebook has made me more money than Stages has is because Facebook's brought me onto the stage. Without
Mm,
Facebook, I wouldn't be on the stages. Right. So how can I make money on the stage if I don't have the connections? The hardest thing you can do as a public speaker is get on really good stages. That's extremely hard. I don't care how good you are. There are still people paying 15 grand to get on a decent stage and
yep.
speak. And it happens all the time. In fact, it's gone as high as 25 grand now to get on stage and speak. That's insane when you think about it. But as far as being controversial, things that I've shared on stage, I was very controversial. When Panda came out, I was on the forefront of SEO and I was explaining to people that you needed to stop using spun content. Not only that, you needed to stop using people writing content from third world countries in broken English, and that you needed to get a really good, high quality copywriter to write for your SEO. Oh boy, people didn't want to hear that. They did not want to hear that at all. And even before that, they did not want to hear me touting that social media was creating opportunities within Google's algorithm. No, 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 no. You're absolutely wrong. Everybody says that social media is not. Well, let me ask you a question then. Why does my company do 1/10 of the work in Google that you do, and we're outranking everybody? So you're doing 10 times the work for your clients, and you're not getting the results that I am. It's because we learned to find that sweet spot in Google's algorithm where they thought it was all organic, that nothing was happening from an SEO company. The first thing that happens when most internet marketing companies get involved and they try to rank a word for SEO, Google's sniffer goes out and it knows within seconds that an SEO company is on track and they see unorganic link building. They're able to see that all these links are popping up all over the place, but they haven't done anything to justify the why of those links existing online. There isn't any social media. There isn't any PPC going on. There's no reason these links could exist. And so many companies were all about trying to build these link profiles and look at other people's links profiles and match this and do that. I remember one of my business partners came up to me one day and she's like, Richard, I've been looking at your link profile for this company, and this company's ranking page one in Google, right? But she's upset. She's like, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are all some of the top sites of all the national companies, and we haven't even done one of them. They're the ones that carry the most weight. So why haven't we done that? And I'm like, well, because I don't want Google to know that I know that much. I want Google to think that we're organic. So I intentionally pass up big opportunities. And then when I really need a boost in rank, that's when I cash in that opportunity. We're already on page one, number 3, and we want to be page one, number 1. Tink. I start slowly checking off that list on those big opportunities we didn't take. I could take page one in many cases by doing things that were completely the opposite of what everybody else did. And so we were extremely out of the box. And we didn't just pull local rankings on Google. We would pull national rankings on Google for a company. And we would build less links on our national profile than some of these companies were using to get local rankings.
Wow. That's super counterintuitive and very
Yeah.
strategic.
And
That,
very controversial because nobody
yeah.
wanted to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear what we were doing. When we found out, we were I was the first one to publicly speak and say social media is being used in Google's algorithm. And I knew it was because I built too few links not to know that it was being counted. So when we saw those social things, I was like, hey, the number of times that Google sees this website is going to increase ranking. So I did a lot of social just to get my crawl rate up so Google crawler would hit the website. And then I found out not only is this Google crawler hitting the website more frequently, and that's bringing us rankings, they're passing rank from these social media, these no follow social media link. They're being counted and they're making a big difference. And so we were riding that sweet spot on the algorithm for a long time. And
That's
we still
great.
are. We still are.
So do these tactics still work?
Absolutely. Almost everything that worked that I was doing 10 years ago still works. And that's what's crazy about it, because I did an SEO course and I launched it with Social Media Marketing University. And they were for a while there, they were an accredited school. So you could get college credit attending that school.
Okay.
And they said I was their flagship course. They really loved our social media course, right? And long story short, with that, when I launched that course, I shared a lot of stuff. And one of the things I shared in that course, and I said over and over, is give Google what Google wants. Stop trying to trick them. They're smarter than you. They got 300 PhDs working for them to outsmart you. Why are you trying to outsmart them? And that's a lot of what the SEO industry did. And by the time anything in SEO happened where it was mass adoption, Google already knew about it and was tweaking the algorithm before they started building the links. Why not think ahead and say, let's give Google exactly what Google says they want, and let's do it in a way that Google doesn't know that an SEO company's doing it? Which meant we had our employees going to public libraries and stuff to post links. We did
Okay.
some really out of the box stuff.
That's great. I love that. Now, most people probably don't want to do that because it's extra work.
It's
Right?
harder.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you rather do less work and get 10 times the result than do 10 times the work and get a less result?
100%. Yeah.
What me worry, right?
Oh, bad. So let's talk about your current project, Market Leap, right?
Mhm.
You focus on rapid business growth. Can you elaborate a little bit on the specific strategies that you use to achieve that for your
I would
clients?
say rapid business growth is a little different for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're a solopreneur, like one of our current clients is, and you just need to go and you've got no time, you got no bandwidth, and you've been hitting the same glass ceiling year after year after year. High glass ceiling, but the same glass ceiling. What's rapid business growth for you? Rapid business growth may not be that your numbers are skyrocketing right overnight, right? Rapid business growth, maybe you go from a solo entrepreneur to having a helper and a salesman, and now we can scale you, right? That's rapid growth for this individual. And the reason is because we couldn't scale what he had. It was impossible to scale what he had. How do you scale somebody that's already working 60-hour weeks and they don't have any more time in their schedule? You scale them through duplication. You scale them through training. You scale them by creating the room. And now, I don't know, in the last 2-3 weeks, he's probably run more leads than he has from that were not necessarily referrals or whatever he was working on. He's probably run more leads in the last 2 or 3 weeks than he's run in the last 2 or 3 years.
That's huge.
Powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And once we dial that in, that's when massive growth starts to occur. But not everybody can just come right out of the gate and experience massive growth overnight. Another consulting client that I had, she had a SaaS company, and we did a power day where I spent 8 hours straight just whiteboarding, rebranding, restructuring, understanding her business. After that power day, we went to our first event. No one was there. So obviously we didn't really do much on that one. Next event we went to, it was packed. The target market was there. Everything was amazing. Everything was great. And I'll give you the long story short version. Within 45 days, we had given her an extra $100,000 in net profit, not gross, net. That's massive growth. And sometimes that's possible. But even within her structure, I brought in a salesman. I trained that salesman and I trained her who her target market was and what they were willing to pay. 'Cause she didn't know. We doubled her prices. We doubled her prices and changed the entire communication strategy of how she was communicating her value to her target audience. And by doing that and by implementing a couple quick, easy changes, we were able to overnight reshape her business and the volume she was able to do.
That's fantastic. Now, the things that you're talking about here, like I can see how this applies to me and other people that are, have been kind of solopreneurs. For guys like copywriters or graphic designers or people that, build websites, create funnels, we're trading time for dollars, right? And we can't scale our time. But the ways that we do that is we create a royalty agreement, or we create something that is, continuing to be mailed or used. And there's, income that comes off something we create once that we get paid on over and over again. But like the capacity to create can't be scaled, right? I only have so many hours in the day. I only have so much energy. So having your expertise where you come in and you take a look at what that company or individual needs to do to actually experience growth. And I love how you created that or defined the distinction there, because like I get that, but I don't know that a lot of people actually think about that. One of the worst things that I've seen happen many times, and I've created this for a handful of clients in my life, is where so much business comes in all at once that they can't handle it.
Yep.
Right? They get overwhelmed, and that's probably worse than not having enough business, because you can't take care of all the clients or customers that are coming in. That's terrible for your reputation. It's terrible for your stress level. But the point that I'm trying to get to before I go down this bunny trail here is you take a look at somebody's company and actually showing them what they need to do to experience the kind of growth that actually will work for them and give them the lifestyle and the business that they want is super invaluable. That's fantastic. Now, Richard, I don't know if this is something that you do, but I want to, do you set people up for like an exit as well? Like, is that part of what you look at from the beginning, or is that just on a case by case basis?
So I'm just going to make everything clear. I am not an investment expert at all. That's not who I am. I'm a marketer, and I'm really good at building relationships, and I'm really good at network. But we have people on our team that know exiting. We have people on our team that know investment way better than I am. And one of the things that I've always gone by, and I tout this over and over again in interviews, so people have probably heard me say this before if you've heard me interviewed before. When I was 17, actually, I don't even know if I was 17. I may have been as young as 12 or 13. I saw a documentary on Howard Hughes, and the interviewer said, "Why are you so wildly successful?" And he looked at the interviewer and he said, "I surround myself with people that are smarter than me." If we're able to make a big difference in people's companies, there's a small part of that that's me. But the biggest part that will help us make a difference in these people's company is the team that we've created. And the business owner that joins our accelerator is the most important part of that team. We rely on them, their background, their knowledge, their experience, and we really get to know and understand their industry and their niche and what they've been through. And then we're able to apply what we've learned from hundreds of other clients and businesses over the years that we've worked with. And then we're able to increase that concept of that success rate. They're probably going to be successful to a certain degree with or without us. But what if we already have made a lot of those mistakes that business owner is about to make? And we can say, whoa, 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 that's a dead end road. Let's not do that. Success is not easy to duplicate. Failure is extremely easy to duplicate. You
Yeah,
light
for
your
sure.
hand on fire, it takes about 2 seconds to do it again. You know exactly what you did to light your hand on fire. You end up hiking in the mountains and seeing this beautiful bird, and you get this photo, and then that photo of that bird goes viral on the internet, and it turns out that this is some viral sensation. Try doing that again. It's not going to happen. Okay.
Right.
And those are two extremes right there, but they create the paradigm that I'm looking for. Success, it's not always easy to recreate it again. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of failure to recreate that first success again. And then the more you learn from your failures, the more X's that are on that maze of those dead ends where you say, nope, don't go down that dead end again. You've seen those little maze drawings, right? Where you've got all
Right.
these hundreds or thousands of dead ends. The more dead ends that you hit, the more likely you are to not go down that road again. And, one of my favorite quotes is successful people, stupid people learn from their own mistakes, and smart, successful people learn from other people's mistakes. And we've made a lot of mistakes cumulatively as a team. We're not somebody to put up on a pedestal. We're not perfect. We've made the mistakes. But what helps you become successful is learning not to make those same mistakes again. Something else I want to throw out real quick before we wrap up is something that I've learned and is, I think, one of the secrets to success, especially as a solopreneur or somebody who is an entrepreneur with very few people on their team. That secret to success is the law of multiplication. Okay. There's a difference between 1 to 1 and 1 to many. Let me quantify that. If I go out today and I knock on doors and I talk to one person at a time trying to sell my system, I'm going to have a degree of success. There's no doubt about that. But what if through the law of multiplication, I'm reaching thousands of people who are searching for exactly what I have, and I'm capturing them on the internet and they're coming to me. And instead of wasting my time knocking those doors, I'm filling my calendar with person after person after person who wants exactly what I have. That's 1 to many. Or 1 to many, say that smart home niche, which I'm back in again. That's my other business, right? What if instead of knocking on one person's door, I start knocking on realtors' doors, and I start knocking on insurance brokers' doors and mortgage brokers' doors and everybody that deals with brand new homeowners. And I bring that tribe and circle them around, and now they're just referring people to me left and right that have just bought a home that are already interested in what I do. What's a better use of my time? I would say both could be a good use of my time. But the more that you can fill your schedule with people that are ready to buy rather than wasting the time on finding people that are ready to buy, that's the secret. If you're doing finding, it's because you got nothing else to do that's more important.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
want to graduate to a point where you don't have time to do this anymore because they're so lined up around the block that wanting to
Well,
talk to you about what you do.
right, right. Yeah, I didn't answer you because I wasn't sure you were actually asking me. But two things came to mind when you were talking about that. One of the things that I learned from Gary Halbert, which was, if you had a hamburger stand, what is the most important thing that you need, right? You probably know this story. And he would ask this in seminars, and people would say, like, special sauce, like, a great tasting burger, and blah blah blah, on and on and on. And he'd say, no,
Hungry audience.
starving crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And the Ann Kennedy's concept of the welcome guest versus the annoying pest. It's always
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
to talk to people that really want to communicate with you. So we're coming to the end of our time here together. There's so many things I wanted to ask you that we're not going to get to, but you talked about failures, and
Yep.
we've all failed. Successes are great when they happen. Everybody wants you to always hit a home run and a grand slam, and it's tougher to do that. But when you have a failure, how do you handle criticism or negative feedback in your personal life and professional life? How do you deal with that?
So I'm going to start with a quote. And my fan page that has not been marketed on Facebook. So you're not going to see like probably 300 fans on my fan page because I've never marketed it before. But if you go to that picture that's on my fan page, it's a picture of me when I was the CEO of Icon, and they had the graphic artist make something. The whole crowd was making something. I was like, hey, let's do this. And I found this picture of a phoenix, and I had her Photoshop this picture of a phoenix behind me. And then we turned the phoenix all bright white. And it's really cool. And the quote on that is one that I live my life by, which is one that says, success is failure being reborn.
That's great.
Like a phoenix from the ashes being reborn. Success is failure being reborn. You don't get to success without failure. No one does. But if I can fail more efficiently, faster, and dip not as low as you. I don't dip all the way down here before I find a failure. I'm only dipping to here instead of dipping to here. If I can fail efficiently, effectively, and I know when to cut something off that's failing and move on to something else, I'm going to be more successful. That's what is different. And so how do I handle criticism? Bring it. I'm my biggest critic. You're not going to say anything to me that I haven't already owned and really tried to figure out and how to push through. So I just say bring it. And you know what's really great about criticism is sometimes our critics shine a light on a dark place that we don't realize is there. So how would I handle that? Let the light shine on it and own it. Get better and time to level up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I handle criticism. Criticism motivates me to be bigger and better than who I am now.
I think that people are too sensitive to being criticized at times, and that all depends on a person's life experience. I think how they handle criticism, and but I know for me, what I've done for many years now, maybe 20, wasn't always like this, is if I get criticism, I stop and I ask myself, is that true? What lands for me there? Is part of this true? Because that's that shining the light part, right? Without self-reflection, without self-examination, we cannot grow. It's just like marketing. If what's not measured can't be improved.
Right.
So, but I think that the human nature is we have this knee-jerk reaction. Somebody says something confrontational to us or critical of us, and we want to fight back. We want to defend. We want to, lash back, whatever. And it's just being able to sit with that stuff and really take an honest look at it and say, yeah, that fits. What can I do about it? Versus allowing it to crush you, right? That's, I think, how we grow and improve. So I love that. So
be grateful for it, literally.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man, especially if it's a public criticism. Be grateful for it. Thank them. So you know what? Thank you for bringing that to my attention, especially if it's public. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I had never thought about that before. I'm actually going to take a really close look at that in myself and see exactly what it is I've got going on here. Boom. Who can be critical of that if you are criticized in public and that's your response? Wow. Thank you. I had never thought about that before. That's amazing. I can't wait to get to work on that. Who can criticize that? Because, like even Christ said, who's let he is who without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Who's going to cast a stone at that when you say, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm a total idiot. You don't have to say that, but you kind of, whatever it is that you need to say, go for it. And then sometimes criticism comes that's just not useful and it's not real. And that's when you just let it just brush right off your shoulder and you keep on rolling.
I'm glad you addressed that, because I was going to ask you, what do you do about criticism that has absolutely no bearing? I see an awful lot of this now. Social media has made it very easy for people to lash out and say terrible things to one another without even thinking about the consequences of what they're saying, and saying things that they would never say to somebody's face. But, you just let it go if something like, if you get a criticism like that.
Yeah, man. You just keep on rolling. You just roll with it. The other day somebody commented something on Facebook and I started to respond to it. I was like, you know what? Why do I even need to respond to it? Delete. I'm done. I'm moving on and I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I recently did a testimonial for a company on a device that I bought to hack my metabolism. It's really made a huge difference. Anyway, they turned my testimonial into a commercial, right? So
that's cool.
Best free advertising I've ever done for anyone. People started sending me it on Facebook. Like, is this you? Is this you? I'm like, yeah. And I started looking at the comments and I was like, oh my God, the trolls on this, the things they were saying, right? And I started commenting to people and responding.
Yep.
Then I realized, addressing and providing information, but some people were really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this guy's got a problem and it's not me. Right?
Exactly.
So I'm just going to let this go. I don't need to even worry about this. So I stopped looking at it. And resisting that compulsion to want to defend yourself or respond to somebody that's doing something nasty, I think takes a tremendous amount of character. So I love the fact that you say you just make the decision to let that go. And that's a discipline I think that we need to develop, especially in a world where people are so freely throwing out unsolicited opinions that really make no difference, right? The opinions that matter to me come from the people that matter to me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, then another thing that I'll just share real quick.
No, please.
How someone treats you has nothing to do with you. Nothing. And everything to do with them. It really does. You could even be wrong in your wrongness. As my brother posted on Facebook one time when I made a dig on Costco, which I'm a Costco member now. He was right. I was being wrong in my wrongness. But you can be totally wrong, but how that person treats you has nothing to do with you. And you can be right. And you could be completely neutral, or it could be misunderstood. Whatever it is, how someone treats you is entirely up to them. One person might punch you in the face if they misunderstand you. The other person might give you a hug. It's entirely on them.
Yeah, that's great. Good counsel there. It reminds me of a quote that I use and share a lot, which is other people's opinions of you are none of your business.
I like that one.
Yeah. It's been especially useful when somebody has said something, really hurtful. That potentially could be hurtful. So I love that. Richard, looking back on your life, your career, can you give me one piece of marketing or life advice that you wish you could have given your younger self?
That's a good one. Just don't quit. Keep trying. Some of the best advice. Many people quit
too soon, Some people know that, I was involved in recovery and lots of things. And one of the sayings I got out of that was don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle.
Yep.
And you've seen these memes before where there's two people digging and one guy's dug this massive tunnel and he's just like inches away from the gold. And he's walking away, begrudgingly dragging his pickaxe because I've been working so long and nothing. And then the other guy's about to discover it. So don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. That's good. Don't give up.
Literally a book about that meme called 3 Feet from Gold, and I highly recommend it. That book changed my life.
Have you read Acres of Diamonds?
I have not read that one. I'll have to check that out.
I think it's similar. I haven't read the book that you mentioned, but Acres of Diamonds is similar to that. I won't go into the story, but it's a great book. So what was the name of the one? 3 Feet from Gold?
3 Feet from Gold. Very good.
Okay, great.
I know Greg Reed was involved in that project at some level. Very incredible book.
Love it. So I know you've got a son, right? And one of the questions I always want to ask my guests is, who do you want to be a hero to?
That's easy. I want to be a hero to him. That's very easy. And I was remarried almost 2 years ago, and so I picked up three more kids, and now we also have a bun in the oven. So coming
Congratulations.
February, we'll have another Weiler running around. Scary thought.
No, that's an awesome thought. Yeah. I mean, I honestly wish I could have had a mess of kids, more kids than I have. I had two stepsons that I raised, and like when I say I raised them, I really did, because like, long story, but then I have two children that are my natural children. And then in my second marriage here, I have two stepdaughters, which like, so I've got six. And like, there's no bigger blessing to me than children. Like, I want to create a legacy, of love and wisdom and education. And I do want to be a hero to my kids as well as many others as I can be. But I love that. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have?
Actually, you were incredibly thorough. I think that it was a great interview, and definitely got to some really great core issues. And I would just leave one piece of advice, which is don't be afraid to be authentic and be who you are, because you're going to attract your tribe.
Great counsel. Richard, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today. And I want to know, how can people get a hold of you? I will link everything below, but I'd like you to tell us, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, and who ideally should.
Sure, absolutely. If you have a business and you want to grow and scale it and raise capital and become the type of investor, a business that an investor would want to invest in, then reach out to me at www.marketleap.biz. That's market and leap like a frog .biz. So that would be the first one. And if you want to create more deep, meaningful interpersonal relationships, then reach out to me at gorillaconnector.com. And that's not G like gorilla as in whoa, that's gorilla as in like guerrilla warfare. So that would be gorilla, GUERRILLA connector.com.
Wonderful. Richard Weiler, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and being so authentic with us. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing what you do and when your book comes out. I'd love to link that here so everybody can get it.
It's basically out. We're just waiting for the printer to print the books at this point. It's ready to roll. We have a digital version ready to roll, and waiting for my web designer to link my merchant account to the shopping cart, and it's ready to rock and roll.
Is it just available on the website? It will be on Amazon, everywhere people can get it?
Right now, the best way to get it is definitely by going through the website. It will be on other services, and we are partnering with the distribution, down the road, probably be able to go into Barnes and Noble and buy it. But that's probably, that whole process takes about 8 months. But so the best way right now to get it would definitely be to go to gorillaconnector.com and put in your information, and we'll get you all set up.
All right, brother, thanks again for being here. And everyone, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you tuning in for this episode of the Hero Up podcast, and I will talk to you next time. Richard, thanks again.
Have a good one, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into Hero Up. I hope today's episode challenged you to step up as a hero in your field and provided you with valuable insights to express your unique voice and message. If you found this episode helpful and motivating, please leave a review and share it with your friends and family. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes and amazing guests. Until next time, find your voice, share your message, live your mission.